Chrissy, you have a personal disaster survival story to share.
Yes.
When you were 13 years old,
Yeah,
a very, very traumatic flood.
it was actually traumatic.
It was. And your uncle and his family lost their house in Typhoon Sendong,
Yeah.
the one where 1,000 people drowned in Cagayan de Oro. He lived in Iligan, 2 hours away.
Yes.
You're going to tell that story.
Yeah.
And, you know, what it's like to be in the Philippines when disaster strikes. Chrissy's got a very heartwarming story to share.
I have 3 stories, actually. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to our channel, Fly Me to the Philippines. Today, we're going to talk about disaster.
When disaster strikes. Chrissy, we had an earthquake this week. There was a typhoon that sat over Luzon last week, and it's peak typhoon season, August, in the Philippines. And a lot of people are always asking, when's a good time to visit? What are the types of natural disasters, and which parts of the Philippines are prone to natural disasters? And today, Chrissy, everyone should stay tuned. We've created another PDF, a 34-page ebook. If you stick around, I'll share with you how you can get this 34-page ebook.
But what about volcanoes and flooding here in the Philippines?
Yeah, it's not just typhoons, and it's not just earthquakes. Flooding is a major issue in the Philippines. We have a little flooding we experience here, even though our city is not prone to flood. But we did have a major flood 10 years ago where 1,000 people lost their life in Cagayan de Oro. We have some active volcanoes here, and there's some really nice places at elevation where you might want to consider living, but you need to take into account that you're a little bit close to some volcanoes. So we're going to talk about that too.
Based on these natural disasters that you just mentioned, where are the most expats chose to live?
Well, based on retirement visa data, we have in the PDF a list of the top 10 cities that expats choose to live. And then we break down, there's about 80,000 retirement visas here from a couple of years ago. And there's about 7,000 Americans. The number one is Chinese expats living here in the Philippines. So we break down the top 10 cities and the nationalities that are living here as expats in the Philippines.
And every detail, they can find it in your PDF.
Yeah, the free PDF. Stick around. We're going to tell you how to get that.
What about Dumaguete? Can we find Dumaguete in your PDF? Because everybody's talking about Dumaguete.
Is it really Dumaguete that big a deal, or just all the vloggers that are, we're like the only vlogger that's not based in Dumaguete. But yes, Dumaguete is one of the cities that is on that list of top 10. And what we're going to do in our PDF is we're going to compare the pros and cons of Dumaguete versus the other expat cities on the list. And Chrissy, you and I went to Dumaguete for 4 nights, and we had a brownout for 8 hours.
We have an electricity interruption.
Thank God they have a pool.
I was thinking that time that it's just happened, it's just a coincidence, but I think I heard a lot of electricity interruptions.
Well, that's like a natural disaster, electrical disruption. So one of the things people want to know is, where can they get good internet? Well, good internet is tied to good electrical service. You should really ask the question, where is the electricity reliable? And here today in the PDF, we're going to have a list of the most reliable cities in the Philippines for electrical service and the least reliable. So Chrissy, you told me, and it's been a while, and I'm interested to hear you retell it, that you were 13 years old, and you told me that your father had to rescue you.
Yes.
And you kind of saw your life flash in front of your face.
Yeah, I thought that was the end of us, like the both of us.
How did you find yourself in such a precarious situation? What was it, a typhoon? Was it just heavy rains?
Actually, it wasn't recorded as a big typhoon, but in that place, it happened that it flooded a lot during that time. It was a heavy rain, and I was from my high school. I came from school. So I got home, and when I got home, I was alone because all the family members, including my father, went to our newly built house. Actually, it's newly built, not yet finished. That's why we're not residing there yet. So we rented this basement in 2-story house.
You had the basement.
Yeah, we had the basement.
You had your own entrance, your own exit?
Yes, in the basement.
But it was below grade.
Yeah, it's below grade.
Had it ever flooded before?
No, they said it never flooded before.
Okay.
And so then I got home alone, and it was heavy rain and lightning and thunder. I was just watching TV, and I didn't know that outside the house it's already flooding. And the cause of the floods was the overflowing of the river water. Because there is a bridge, and the bridge was blocked by logs and lumbers, and trees, something like that. So the water overflow from the
Sure.
river to the highway, and it got to our place, our location.
What was the first sign of trouble? When did you notice did you have trouble getting home from school? It was quite flooded.
Actually, the basement was pretty close. That I did notice that the water is already raging outside. So I was like,
when you got home from school, you didn't think there was a problem?
no, I didn't think, because there's no history of flooding.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking, my mother might have laundry outside that needs to get in, because we dry it through the sun, right? So I have to check, and then when I open the door, I can't open it because it's all the blockage,
The mud and the water.
the mud and the
tree
wood,
limbs. Yeah, tree limbs,
something
yeah,
like that. And when
yeah.
I open it, all the water came in with all these insects and all this.
Like up to your shins?
What you got, centipedes?
Yeah.
With the centipedes that like trying to crawl on you because they're trying also to survive.
Yeah.
And I was just so shocked, and I was stunned, and I don't know what to do.
You're home alone.
I'm home alone.
Where's the family? They're at the new house.
They were there at the new house. And that moment, my father tried to cross the bridge, but the people will not let him through.
Because it wasn't safe.
Because it wasn't safe, and the bridge could fall.
Yeah.
But he tried his best, and he said his daughter is stuck in their house, so they let him go.
Yeah.
And then he rescued me, and then we crossed the bridge.
Wait a minute. Like right before your father got to the house, how dire was the circumstance? Did you think you were going to die?
I didn't know, because I didn't see the river that is already flowing. I just thought that it's just a rainwater that came in.
But the
house.
water,
Brown and dark.
And you're like on top of the furniture waiting for a
the
rescue?
bed. Yeah, waiting for
Did you think about going out and getting to higher ground?
Not really. I was 13 years old, and because there's no history of flooding, I didn't think that it is a serious flood. I thought it will just pass, And then my father was like so
he had to risk his life to cross the river.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he was so panicked, and he was like, come up here on the second, third floor. We're gonna go out because the river is already flowing, and the bridge is like, there's a tendency to collapse.
Yeah.
And then we cross the bridge, and then people are throwing ropes so that we can hold on it. And then I thought that will be our last day.
You thought that was more dangerous than being in the room itself.
Yes, that's what I thought. But if I didn't get out from the house, the day after, you can't see the house anymore. It was washed out.
The whole house washed away.
Yes, that's why I thought that if I stay there, I'll be washed out,
Yeah.
So and then my father rescued me, and then fortunately the bridge did not collapse that time.
Yeah.
But the people were thinking that we could die in that bridge if it collapsed.
What about typhoons? Have you hunkered down for a typhoon? You live pretty far south in Mindanao. The southern Visayas is not too much of a target.
Actually, in our place there in Pagadian City, Sambonga del Sur, we didn't really experience like frequent typhoon, frequent flooding like that. Just not too usual. But we will feel the heavy rain, the lightning and thunder, a little bit of shaking when there's earthquake, but not really center of typhoon and earthquakes there. But I had that experience. Yeah. Actually, that place is not really a typhoon center, you know?
What about your uncle in Iligan, which is 2 hours away from here, only an hour from our airport, actually?
That was during the Typhoon Sendong here in the Philippines. I think that's 2017. So I have two uncles, which is on my mother's side. My first uncle is my mother's brother, and the second uncle is my mother's cousin. So first is my mother's brother. His wife just had a baby, maybe 3 days, 3-day-old baby. And then when the river in Iligan City overflow, they didn't notice that it's flowing already. And they were sleeping because it was like 1 a.m. So everybody's sleeping. That's why there's a lot of them died in Iligan City. And then they said, as far as they remember, the water just grows so fast that some of the people did not make it to get up
from their immediate area. Some
and
didn't
run
make
away
it. Right.
because some of them died because when one other house was washed away, it washed the other house. Yeah, it went to the other house too.
Knocked it over.
Yeah, and then they get carried by this raging water.
And your uncle, he lost his house.
Yeah, he lost his house, which is not too, for me, they're still fortunate because it's just the house and all this stuff there, appliances, and not their lives. So they got escaped with the flood, and now fortunately they were helped by the government, and
7,
they got
8 years
house.
later, their number came up in the lottery, and they're on top of the hill. The government put them high on top of the hill.
Yeah, the very unfortunate one is the other uncle, that my mom's cousin, because all of them died.
They did.
Yeah, they died. I don't think if it's all of them. I think there's one son that gets survived because first thing is when the water grew, same in Iligan City, when the water already is like growing so fast, he rescued the family.
Right.
And then they tried to run in this like riverside. And then when he knew that his wife with the other kids cannot cross, he went back and let the eldest son again to go alone. He went back to help them, and then they were washed
away.
Yeah.
Wow. So immediate family died.
And until now, they were not found.
Wow. And then here in Cagayan de Oro, we're listed as a city not susceptible to flooding. However, almost 1,000 people died downtown.
Still the same typhoon syndrome.
Same typhoon. Now, we are at the mouth of the longest and largest river by volume in the Philippines. And we live uptown where there's absolutely no risk of flooding whatsoever. We're 500 feet of elevation and everything flows down. But there was an area that was kind of a known risk of flooding that people had been allowed to build kind of squatters' houses. And 1,000 of them died. The water rose very, very rapidly. It was a huge disaster.
I think the part of Cagayan de Oro that was really affected by that flood was the downtown area because it was too low. Yeah. It was like the same level with the ocean, I think.
Now, we felt an earthquake this week. 6 months ago, we felt an earthquake, and we really felt it, and there were some cracks in the house we were living in then. Almost the exact same place, like approximately 6 months time difference, but I barely felt the tremor. This time it was like 6.4. But again, Cagayan de Oro is not really known for earthquakes, so they're not too far away. I mean, we felt the house shake, but we didn't get the brunt of it. And then we have volcanoes. We're not too close to any volcanoes here, but lots of places in the Philippines are. In 2020, my flights were canceled into Manila Airport. It was closed for a couple of days from Taal volcano. And then earthquakes, volcanoes, flooding, and typhoons. And owning a generator is something to really learn about and keep in mind if you're planning to retire here, or you're going to rent a property for a month at a time. But we were in again Dumaguete, and the Airbnb had a generator, but all it did was run the elevators and the emergency lighting in the hallways. That's it. It didn't keep the air conditioner or the lights or the fans running in the unit. So thank God it had a swimming pool, because we hung out. It was 8 hours without air conditioning. It was so hot and muggy. And Dumaguete, I believe, has like maybe once a month they have 4 or 8 hour brownouts scheduled. A lot of Philippine cities do. Our city is not listed as one of the best, but we've had really good electrical service. We had a brownout for an hour like 2-3 weeks ago. And other than that, it's been 20 minutes, occasionally every other month. Very infrequent. So we've really done well here. And maybe it's just the uptown area. I mean, downtown, the infrastructure is not very good. Spaghetti wires everywhere. How was it growing up for you?
This is the first time that I lived in a place that almost no interruption of electricity. Because in our region, there's always an electricity interruption, especially when the season is too hot, no rain. I don't know why, but they will cut electricity.
Too much demand, possibly. Yeah.
And then when it's too rainy and if there's typhoon, there will be no electricity, of course, because there are a lot of areas that will get affected in our region. And then eventually it became like normal to us to have no electricity for like 12 hours in a day. And then people became so was it
Innovative.
Yeah, people became so innovative. They were like buying these power banks. They're buying these car batteries.
Chrissy, I think if people are wondering what's the best location for them to retire in, taking into account natural disasters is something pretty important. Access to your money, natural disasters. Where do the other expats live? Where do the Americans, where do the Chinese, where do the other nationalities tend to live? Like Davao is popular with Australians and the Brits. And, we found that just having a couple hundred expats in town is more than enough. I was really surprised. Like only 7,000 Americans are retired in the Philippines, according to the statistics. To me, it sounds so low.
Yeah. I was expecting that. Maybe that was the old...
2022,
Yeah, it's the oldest. Maybe now it's like...
a little bit more, but
yeah,
it just
you're one
very
of
low.
the additions.
I think if you see 50 Americans, you think the place is flooded. And people are always saying, oh, they're driving up prices. Well, with numbers like that, nobody's driving up prices. Yeah.
So I think if they're going to move here in the Philippines, the one most important thing that they need to find is if the location is a typhoon prone or any natural disaster that could hit the location. I think that is one thing that you need to know, because I always thought about this, that the only crisis here in the Philippines that is beyond control is natural disaster.
Natural disasters, yeah.
Sometimes it just came unexpectedly. It will come in summer. Sometimes like Sindong was not in August or July. It was December.
Yeah,
so December supposedly not a typhoon season,
And you always say it could happen any month, actually.
know.
Like in America, it's going to be like August through November. Not any month. Doesn't happen. But you say could happen here any month.
Yeah, any month.
Right.
Like it could happen January, even summer days.
And people are always asking me, what's the best time of year to come to the Philippines? And December and January are the best months of summer, where summer is pretty mild. The dry season has started. Now you got to watch out for high fares at Christmas. You got to watch out for Chinese New Year at the other end in early February to avoid problems with travel. And Chrissy, we are going to offer this PDF to anybody who sends us an email at
flymetothephilippines@gmail.com.
And, it's free, but, it's not 100% free, because we need you to do 3 things. What 3 things do we need them to do?
You need to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Yeah,
and of course...
Yes, of course.
And of course, you can share it to your friends.
You can share it that would be exceptional. If you don't hit that notification bell, we could make 5 videos that you're interested in. You'll never see them possibly. It's just the way YouTube works these days. And so send an email, flymetothephilippines@gmail.com, and just say, hey, Rob, we did those 3 things Chrissy asked. When Chrissy asks, we do, and send me the PDF. Now, we have some other PDFs you may not have received, so specify if you're only looking for the Philippine facts. It's called Philippine Facts. We talk about natural disasters, electricity service, the cost of food and meals in Manila versus Davao and some other cities. We talk about where the expats are living and the proportion of different nationalities. We talk about the top 20 questions asked on the internet. What are the top 20 things people ask about the Philippines? Asked and answered in the PDF. And we talk about how Dumaguete compares to these other expat retirement cities. And Chrissy, we've got a hidden bonus, but we also have the top 10 tourist destinations in the Philippines ranked.
I think you wrote a lot of bonuses in that PDF. So what
Send us an email.
Waiting for?
Yeah, what are you waiting for? From Chrissy sharing her traumatic childhood experiences to me is sharing my opportunity to live your best life. For a private, personalized consultation, also send an email to flymetothephilippines@gmail.com. Till next time.
Only here from Fly Me to the Philippines.